You're listening to Deb Andraca from Wisconsin on Two Broads Talking Politics.
Welcome back, everyone, to Two Broads Talking Politics. As usual, I am one of your co-hosts, Sophy, and I am by myself today. Kelly is actually out right now, but I'm very excited to welcome our guest, Deb Andraca, who is running for Wisconsin State Assembly from District 23. Welcome, Deb.
Thanks. It's great to be here, Sophie.
It's great to have you. Just tell us, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of your background and how you came to be running for office.
Sure. I come to this race most directly through my work with Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense. I'm a substitute teacher, and I was in a classroom, and my third graders, we had a lockdown drill. And we did the procedures, and it's kind of a way of life, unfortunately, these days. And when we had the lockdown drill, as a substitute teacher, you grab a key and you start to teach, and you're running in there last minute. And I had the wrong key. And the resource officer in this particular lockdown drill was going around to the different classrooms, rattling all the doorknobs to make sure that they were secure, and mine was not. And if you can imagine being in a classroom full of third graders, it's scary enough. These are very tense situations. You never really get used to it. And suddenly the door opens and the resource officer starts yelling at me about why my classroom isn't secure. And I saw the look in the kids' faces, and I just knew that I did not grow up with lockdown drills. My kids shouldn't either. We should not ever get used to this. So I started volunteering with Moms Demand Action. And one of my previous careers and jobs, I was an environmental lobbyist. So I was used to working with legislators. I help moms organize, do their advocacy day, learn how to talk to legislators. And that's where I started coming in contact with my own representative, Jim Ott. He's a Republican. He's best known as the weatherman who doesn't believe in climate change. He's pretty conservative, and he refused to support background checks on all gun sales. And it got to the point where we had a special session in Wisconsin where Governor Evers called the legislature in to vote on gun laws. And the legislature gavelled in and gavelled out, refused to take up any kind of common sense gun legislation, and I knew I had had it. So my friend Erin with Moms and I looked at each other, and we decided that if we can't change Jim Ott's mind, we would change his job. So we launched our campaign in November, and it's been going great. So that's the most direct way we came to this, through Moms. Before that, like I said, I'm a substitute teacher. I worked for the Environmental Law and Policy Center of the Midwest. So I've done work with environmental advocacy, and we intend to flip the 23rd district.
That's awesome. Can you tell me a little bit about the 23rd district? I know just from looking at it that it's a little north of Milwaukee, I think, but can you just tell us a little bit about sort of where it is and kind of the demographics about it, what kind of a district it is?
Well, for your listeners who are not in Wisconsin, they've probably heard about gerrymandering. Wisconsin is sort of the poster child for one of the worst gerrymandered states in the country. The 23rd district is no exception. The 23rd starts where I live in a little town called Whitefish Bay and goes north right up along Lake Michigan. And the 23rd is pretty much the poster child for what you're seeing in suburban districts all across the country. This district has traditionally been Republican, but the Republicans who are my friends and my neighbors, they're not Trump Republicans. They are your George Bush Republicans. They are, they're fiscally conservative, but Trump turns them off. And for many years, Republicans here in Wisconsin have also been more and more conservative. And so I just don't feel like the way that our Republican leadership in the legislature really aligns with these suburban voters anymore. The district is, fairly wealthy, it's suburbs, it's, good schools. So I just don't feel like our district is really being represented by the person who's been in office for more than a decade anymore. I like to say that the Republican Party in Wisconsin has moved right, and it's kind of left a lot of voters behind. Interestingly, Hillary Clinton won the 23rd district in 2016, but my opponent was unopposed. In 2018, he only lost by around 1,000 votes. So this district is overdue, and it's extremely important when you look at the Wisconsin legislative map.
So what are some of the issues, other than gun sense, which we've talked about, that you're hearing from voters as you're sort of canvassing around the district? What are some of the maybe top 3 or 4 things that are most important to them?
Well, COVID was not on anybody's radar when we started. So an awful lot of that right now. Wisconsin has not accepted the federal dollars to expand Medicaid. So trying to get some more healthcare dollars in the state is going to be super important. Environmental issues come up an awful lot. So Republicans have been rolling back regulations for a very long time. People are very excited to have a candidate who believes that we need to take action to prevent global warming. I hear that an awful lot too. So our campaign is running for a safer, smarter, healthier Wisconsin. Safer being safer communities, better gun laws, smarter support for our schools and teachers, and healthier, better access to high quality healthcare and protection for Wisconsin's environment.
Speaking of safer, smarter, and healthier, our legislature hasn't been doing a lot of things to be helpful during COVID. The governor has tried to do some things, and then it got struck down by the courts, and then the legislature kind of hasn't been doing much to help Wisconsinites. What would you like to see the legislature do when you're elected to help Wisconsinites through the tough times that I'm sure even if COVID is over in November, will still be, the economy will still be affected, right? So these tough times that are going to be coming up over the next year or two.
It really all goes back to the gerrymandering that we're all suffering under. Governor Tony Evers is a Democrat. All of these statewide offices in Wisconsin are Democratic, but the gerrymander makes sure that the Republicans hold on to a very large majority of seats. In fact, the big issue right now is the supermajority. So Republicans are just 2 or 3 seats away in both the Assembly and the Senate from a supermajority where they could override all of Governor Evers' vetoes. And when it comes to COVID, when it comes to any issue that Wisconsin needs to tackle, there's absolutely no cooperation. From the day that Governor Evers was elected, the Republicans passed a slew of laws to curtail his powers and to make sure that he couldn't do some of the things that our previous Republican governor could do before. So there's been absolutely no cooperation. What I would like to see is more cooperation. We need some more moderates. We need some more moderate legislators who are willing to work across the aisle on some of these problems that we have. COVID has put everything into extremely sharp relief. Governor Evers had the Badger Bounce Back program, which was a science-based, how many beds do we have program so that the state could open up safely. The Republicans sued, brought it to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and the conservative majority on the Wisconsin Supreme Court decided that the governor did not have the authority to keep the state shut down for the amount of time that they wanted to prevent the virus. Now we're one of the worst states in the country. A friend of mine is a public health researcher. She says we're just a couple weeks behind Texas and Florida. So it's really, really frustrating, especially as a mom and as a teacher who, wants our kids to go back to school. But our cases are 3-5 times where they were when we shut the schools down in March. So it's really a mess.
And it's so frustrating because I feel like if our legislature had done a better job, then our kids would probably be able to go back more full-time to school because we would probably have it more under control. But
right now there's an argument over whether or not the governor could do a mask mandate. And because of the Wisconsin Supreme Court case, it's just a lot of questions. Nobody knows whether or not he has the power to do so. We all know that if you wear a mask, it drastically reduces the rate of infection. What's happened right now is that you have every municipality trying to decide for themselves. You have local school boards trying to craft these rules. We've all become armchair epidemiologists, and it's really unfortunate because, my friend is the president of our local school board. This isn't a decision that she should have to make. We should be following the CDC. We should be following the advice of our local health departments, and our decisions should be based on science. And there's so much confusion out there that it's really terrible, especially when we're trying to get our schools open and our communities back to being safe and healthy.
Is there anything about campaigning that has surprised you, either in a good way, like I didn't expect to like this part, or in a bad way, like I didn't expect this part to be so bad?
Well, COVID was a big surprise.
Yes, I would imagine.
When we decided to do this back in November, this was not on anybody's radar screens. And, it's just so drastically different. Here in Milwaukee, we were supposed to have had the Democratic National Convention. We should have been, getting together and having parties and getting voters together. And it's just very frustrating. We have had to really pivot on a dime. And it's particularly frustrating and challenging for someone like me who's trying to take on someone who has been in office for more than a decade. As a challenger, you typically get an army of volunteers who take their clipboards and you get out there and you talk to voters and you go to the events. We don't have any events. You go to the fairs. We don't have the fairs. All of those traditional things that a candidate would do. I used to joke with my kids that a politician is supposed to be out shaking hands and kissing babies, and we can't do any one of those anymore. So it's been really hard. But the good news is that our message is resonating. People are excited about the race. Our district here in the 23rd is considered probably the most flippable in the state, from red to blue. So a lot of people are paying a lot of attention. It's seen as critical to save the governor's veto. So we got into this race because we didn't like our local elected official, and it is blossomed out of proportion that we could ever possibly have imagined. It's very, very important that we flip this seat this year. So I think just about everything has surprised me this campaign so far, because nothing has been business as usual.
Tell us a little bit about sort of the energy on the ground. You mentioned that it's one of the most flippable districts, District 23. Do people feel sort of like the same excitement and energy that there was sort of nationally in 2018? Are people feeling really confident? Sort of what's the energy among the Democratic Party and among voters in your district?
Yeah, the voters that I talk to, they're really fed up. They're fed up with both sides, quite frankly, because you have the governor trying to pass one law, and then you have the Republicans suing, and the people are caught in the middle. And I talk to so many people, and there's been so much misinformation out there, and they don't know who to trust. I think people are very excited for change. And I'm running as a moderate Democrat. Moderates are few and far between thanks to gerrymandering here in Wisconsin, because I know my neighbors. And I know that they want someone who's reasonable. They don't want someone who is going to be at one extreme or the other. And I'd like to try to bring that kind of sentiment back to the state.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about that we haven't gotten to?
Just the fact that this particular district, it's a tiny little assembly district, but it's taking on such outsized proportions because of where it is. It's that suburban district that is rapidly trending more Democratic, even though it's been traditionally Republican. The numbers are on our side, and just how important it is, not only to save the veto, but the fact that this is a census year. When I moved to the state 17 years ago, it was a vastly, vastly different place. And a lot of people do not like the direction that the state has been taken in. And we want to restore the Wisconsin idea. I have a daughter. She's going off to college. She's a senior, so she's looking at college. She'll be going off to college next year. And I don't like the Wisconsin that she's heading into. So she can vote for me because she turns 18 on October 17th. So her first vote gets to be for her mom, which is very exciting. But
that's so cool.
We want a better state for my kids and for all of us. so that we have our schools back, we have funding for our schools and our teachers. And I think people are very excited to have that happen. People want change in Wisconsin, and we want it to start right here in the 23rd District.
Well, thank you, Deb. I really enjoyed talking to you. I really appreciate your time. And we're so excited to watch your campaign. Could you tell our listeners sort of a little bit about how they can maybe donate to you or get involved in your campaign if they live in the district?
Sure. You can go to our website. It's just debforwi.com, debforwi.com. Yeah, we would love for people to take a look at our website. Donations are very welcome. It takes an awful lot of money to defeat an incumbent who's been in power for more than a decade, whose district was tailor-made to him in the gerrymandering process. But we're not going to quit until November 2nd. So I really appreciate the opportunity, Sophie. This has been fun.
Thank you for listening to Two Broads Talking Politics, part of the Dimcast Podcast Network. Our theme song is called Are You Listening? Off of the album Elephant Shaped Trees by the band Immunuri, and we're using it with permission of the band. Our logo and other original artwork is by Matthew Weflin and was created for use by this podcast. You can contact us at twobroadstalkingpolitics@gmail.com or on Twitter or Facebook at Two Broads Talk. You can find all of our episodes at twobroadstalkingpolitics.com or anywhere podcasts are found.